morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Hello. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I don't really know how to sit down because I might flash you all. I haven't tried this yet, so just...
That's why you got to wear a trouser suit.
She won. We both, like, this morning were thinking about, like, executive realness. That was, like, our code for dressing, apparently. But I'm okay.
You look a lot more glam, that's for sure.
Woo. Okay. I usually wear sweatpants. You got the right idea. You have your trainers, not sneakers, trainers.
Yeah, I say sneakers though, because
Kicks.
I'm not British, so
Okay.
I say sneakers.
Oh, aren't you? Yeah.
No.
What are you?
I'm an imposter. I'm
You're
Austrian.
Austrian,
Yeah.
right? Okay. All right. So our guest today needs no introduction to the beauty junkies of London. Alex Steinherr has been the beauty director at Glamour UK for the past 10 years. That's pre-Glossier and even pre-Into the Gloss. She's written body transformation articles. She's spoken about cosmetic procedures, been through both short hair and long.
Yeah, but not real in this case.
And she's seen our brand since its infancy. She's here to tell us all about it today. Thank you so much for coming, Alex. So Alex and I met backstage at a Victor and Rolf show, and I was like, it must have been 6 or 7 years ago. And I was like this sweaty beauty blogger, running around with my camera, and she swans into this backstage, and all the hair and makeup artists, it's Guido and Pat McGrath, are all like, Alex, darling, my best friend. And I was just like, can I please get 30 seconds just for a quick selfie?
And look at you now. I mean, excuse me.
No, but she's the model beauty editor. I remember looking at her and being like, who is that? Backstage at these shows. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for coming today. And you've been one of the first guinea pigs of the Glossier product in the UK. I think, was it a year and a half ago, I asked you for tea at Claridge's, and I brought you. I was like, what's your smuggle list? Thinking it would be one thing. And she was like, here's 13 products that I need from your line to try. And now you're a big fan of Stretch Concealer, right?
You know what the thing is? I'm a product junkie, and I always have been. And I think people come into the job of beauty editor for different reasons, but for me, it's always been product. So I'm a complete product obsessive. And obviously, I think what was exciting as well was that the brand, so it was all over social media, all over everything, but you couldn't get it. And I was like, she
was mad. I could tell she was actually really mad.
I was like, I need to try these products. And and the Stretch Concealer, it's the one that if you guys haven't tried it, seriously, run upstairs afterwards, but don't steal it, because I'll be the first one to steal the product here, okay? But that's the one, it is a game changer. It really is, and I'm obsessed with that one. And I think I asked you for can I have 10 more? Yeah. And I love it how I said, which shade? And I was like, medium. And then I'm like, no, in my mind, I'm a medium, because I always want to be bronzed, but actually I'm a light and a medium, so I mix them up. But that product is pretty insane.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy you like it. I hope you guys like it. So I'd love to talk to you about beauty. So when did your relationship with beauty really begin? And was that also the start of your career, or was it separate?
No, it began really, really early on in my life, because my grandmother was she was a fashion designer back in Austria, but not like a big Coco Chanel, but back in the days, women in the 50s and 60s would go to a couturier and have their clothes made. So she had a boutique, and I would spend every summer there as a kid when my parents went traveling, and actually it was the best thing ever. I loved it. And I would spend my summers on the floor with all the seamstresses around me. I loved it. And she had all the Italian Vogues and all the Paris Vogues lying around, so I would be looking at them. But I was never really drawn to the clothes. I was always drawn to the faces. So, it was your Christy Turlingtons, your Cindy Crawfords and all that. And I always loved the makeup, and I always loved the hair. And I was just always, and I remember then as a teenager on my wall, instead of having posters of pop stars, I had posters of Estee Lauder skincare ads. Do you know those black and white ones? I swear, I'm not even joking. I had all these ads, and because I was always drawn to it. And I think my grandmother, she had one of those beautiful, she had one of those like three-way mirror, those really, like most grandmothers had like a real setup. And she would have like, the Elizabeth Arden, again, the Estee Lauder, always Chanel No. 5 and all that. And she, I loved watching her do her skincare. And she is the first person who bought me a moisturizer when I was, I think I was 13, and it was Clinique DDML, I remember. And she said, you need to take care of your skin. And I think that's where it was. But it definitely started with me, also, I've never been, this is a whole other issue, but I've never been like a really skinny girl. I've always been kind of curvy. So I always felt that like the hair and the makeup, regardless of what size you are, it doesn't matter. You can achieve that. And I just, that, I think for me that was that. I just felt beauty was so like literally inclusive and for everyone. I genuinely, still believe that.
Yeah, I think, we think something similar at Into the Gloss, and even with Glossier, we're always saying, part of the whole reason Into the Gloss started was everyone was doing these personal style blogs, and it was very much like from the neck down. It was like, what are you wearing? And, go through everything, and then the end. And it would be like, wait, your hair is so great. Like, who does your color? So I think that idea of beauty as an element of personal style is so important. And we all do it. It's just like not like celebrated that much.
And I remember also, if I can just say, when Into the Gloss first came out, I hope you don't get embarrassed when people say nice things about you. But when that first came out, I was like, God, this is such a different way to, write about beauty as well. Because obviously I grew up in traditional media, print media. I'm still doing it, but I feel that we've evolved. But when I first saw Into the Gloss, I was like, oh my God, I can literally dive into everybody's like bathroom. And that's what we all want to do. But no one was doing that at the time. How did you come up with that? Sorry, I'm turning the table slightly.
No, we were talking earlier. We were talking earlier how it's going to be like a battle of like interview. I'm an interviewer. She's an interviewer. No, I think that's really it. It's just you guys are all here because you have opinions about beauty, like we all do, and I think we grew up in this age, at least I grew up in this age, where it was all about brands, like listening to brands, because there wasn't YouTube and there wasn't the internet and there wasn't social media. There weren't all these ways for us to get information about like product and about routines and about opinions. There weren't really any platforms for us to have opinions as women, except in real life. And so I think Into the Gloss was really about kind of shifting the conversation away from brands being experts and even brands having appointed experts. So like makeup artist as expert, you go into the beauty counter or the store and it's like suddenly someone's telling you like, oh honey, you're doing it all wrong, or like let me tell you about your face. And I think what's really great about technology is it's given us the ability to leave 3-star, 4-star, 5-star reviews on products we like and we don't like, and to, say at someone on Instagram and be like, what lipstick are you wearing? It looks great. So I think, or if you want to go on YouTube and look up how to do a cat eye, you can do that from your house. You don't have to go anywhere and ask anyone how to do it. So I think Into the Gloss certainly didn't invent that behavior. I think everyone is behaving this way, and I think that's amazing. It's so much better. But I think Into the Gloss, was really, for me, about celebrating that ownership and that authorship for women. So yeah,
you can spend hours on that. You can literally you go from one routine to the next. You're just like, what's she using? What's that? Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah. Anyway. So tell us what it means to be a beauty director. What is that? I was never in beauty, so I fell in. I sort of accidental beauty editor. But what does it mean to really be a beauty director?
Accidental, but then she kind of owns it, right? Like she's like the beauty boss of all beauty bosses. You know what? It has really evolved. Because like you said, I've been at Glamour 10 years, which is a long, long time. And I think I'm definitely someone who gets bored if I feel I'm doing the same thing. So thank God, social media and, now we have glamour.com and all that helped me kind of evolve my role, because there is, I felt like, I think if I would still be doing what I did 10 years ago, I would literally be like, I wouldn't be there anymore, But the job itself, oh my God, it's different every day. As you know, it's literally from, like on Friday we were shooting, because we also style and we write as well. And then obviously writing copy. I have an amazing team, which is here today, by the way. So see, they like me enough that they come out on a Sunday for me as well, hopefully. And I think it's definitely, it is so, like about 5 years ago, I would have said to you, you know what, I'm writing print, I'm editing copy, I go to events, I talk to, I interview people like yourself, I find out about new products. I mean, nowadays, it's literally like, we're Instagramming, we're doing this, it's like constant, we're doing Facebook Live, we're doing Instagram Live. So it's kind of, it's never ending, but this is the thing, when you have all this at your disposal, you do have to channel kind of what is the best way to communicate, And I definitely think, like, for magazines, we do have a challenge on our hands, to stay relevant in an era when, everyone is able to. So I think we need to be more expert.
Something that, my next question for you is basically around how you're kind of a continuation of what you were just saying. You've managed to really successfully, maybe you're the only one from your peer group of like professional beauty editors who's really embraced social media. And I remember sometimes it's been a challenge, right? Like you're like a traditional media, maybe, the people there are not always as like progressive as even you are in like, okay, I really think I need to be communicating. I want to do my Sunday, facial, like I want to do my skin breakdown. I need to do these things. So, is that just innate? Because certainly no one from your company is telling you to do this, right? So you're really leading the charge in that. Is that just coming from you?
Yeah, I think at the beginning, I just did it. You know what? I love talking, as you know. Like I love talking. Like I talk so much, like nonstop, and that is something my team do roll their eyes at. Like I'm talking all the time because I talk, but I communicate and I learn. So I don't just, I like communicating. I love finding out new things. So the truth is, I sat there and then suddenly, so Twitter, way back, my company made me, so my editor was like, you need to be on Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did that, and I was a bit like,
that was pre-pictures
that
probably,
was pre-pictures.
Right?
That was pre-pictures. And I was like, okay, fine. So I did that. And then when Instagram came on, everyone in traditional media, because we're words people, right? Everyone was obsessed with Twitter. And then Instagram came up, and honestly, it was Eva Chen, who I saw. At the time, she was beauty editor at Teen Vogue, and I saw and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like she has her own voice, and I think because the one thing I don't have working in print, I don't get the immediate feedback. And I strive on that. Like I will, I'm the kind of weirdo that will go into a shop and say to someone, like, hey, I love your hair. What's that? What's that lipstick? And so I felt that for me it was a way to have more of a direct conversation with my reader. And that's how it started. And so I just started doing it like boom, boom, boom. Nobody was really watching, to be honest with you, at the magazine. No one was really paying attention to what I was doing, really. I was just kind of doing my thing. And then the Sunday facial, that definitely started something where, and I just did that because I genuinely do a facial on Sundays. Like that's what I've always done. It's like my me time, my time when like nobody else matters. It's just about me because, I do think that as women particularly, everyone's always more important than we are. Like we put everybody's needs in front of our own. I'm someone like that, whatever, my parents, my boyfriend, the dog, like they're always more important than me. But when I have like my little moment and on Sunday, my Sunday facial, close the door, I'm in my bathroom, nobody interrupts me. It's me time. So anyway, so I started that and then people started asking questions. And then this whole like Ask Alex thing started and I love it. Like I can't even tell you. And I really, really, I think it's because people were surprised that I would answer. And I think at the time, people didn't really get back. Like it was, the Instagram at the beginning was, Instagram at the beginning was a one-way street, whereas I always saw it as a two-way street. And I still do. And I love the question.
That's more like answering. YouTube, right? Like that seems more like, I feel like everyone I know who's really successful on YouTube, I'm sure many of you are doing this too. It seems like you have to answer. That's like the rules on Instagram if you want to post about beauty.
And I always love that because I actually like it. Yeah. Like I don't force myself. I'm like, oh my God, someone's asking me a question. Wow. Like that's really, I see it. Like if someone bothers to ask me a question, clearly they think, they believe that I have a good answer. So that's why, I see it as something. And then with the magazine, I think as it grew, and then the magazine went on Instagram way later than I did, and now it's like we've come to a happy marriage.
Can you elaborate?
Well, I think look, I'm not gonna lie because I don't. I mean, there are instances where there was a point where they were like, look, what's going on here, and I think when I reassured them that I was still very much committed, because I do love glamour. I absolutely love that magazine, and I think that what I do, when they understood, when I explained what my point was here, that I feel that really it complements and it enhances the magazine, I think that's when now we're cool. And I think it's a very open and honest relationship, because I feel that as an individual you're always going to have a better relationship than as a brand. But whatever all the questions I get and everybody asking me, that helps me be better as a journalist. That helps me. Okay, if suddenly tons of people are saying to me, I don't know, like my pores are out of control. If I get that like 15 times in a row, I'm, okay, we need to do something about that in the mag, or online. So it actually helped. It's actually really good for me, because I hope it makes me
You
better.
stay on the pulse. You're understanding what people are caring about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so, anyway.
So let's talk about your beauty routine.
Oh my God, how many hours have we got?
I want to know. So let's just start with like a very direct question. What do you think the worst thing you have ever done to yourself aesthetically is, and what's the best thing?
The worst thing is probably the best thing as well. Sorry, does this even work?
I think we're both loud.
Because we're so loud.
Can you hear us in the back? Can you still hear us in the back?
We have recording as well.
Okay. All right. We'll keep using them. We'll keep.
I'm obsessed with. Oh God, I'm obsessed with tanning, but fake tanning, not real tanning. Because I always want to look darker than a little bit, not like a bit healthy. I always like that kind of tan thing. And oh my God, when I achieve it, it's great, but the failures are epic. And maybe that's also one of the reasons I wear trousers, and because right now it's horrendous, and
streaks,
it's
everywhere?
yeah. I mean, the thing is, what I haven't figured out yet is I know how to get it on well, but nobody has actually brought a product out yet that kind of fades like a real tan. And I will not. I mean, I do not go in the sun ever. Genuinely, can ask my friends. If it's a sunny day, I will walk in I will cross the street to walk in the shade. I will not even walk in the shade.
Do you do an umbrella?
No, I haven't gone that far yet. But I am literally a vampire. But I think my favorite, I do like looking tanned and healthy, so that's my favorite thing. But I mean, the fails are epic. And then also I bleached my eyebrows once, and that was awful. Have you bleached your eyebrows?
Yes.
That was the worst thing ever. It doesn't come back the way you want. And and I'm really into my brows, and as in I like to keep them natural, and that was, I don't know why, but in our jobs you just feel
you're
I
those
need to
girls
do
with bleached
something.
brows look so cool.
Yeah.
I would look cool.
Oh, look at that. Look at Lara Stone. She looks amazing. Oh, look at Natasha Polly. She looks amazing.
It's not the same.
Let me do that. I'm I don't have that bone structure. Also, I don't have Pat McGraw doing it for me. I'm there with my Jolene situation.
Little spatula.
I mean, it was just oh.
And then dyeing them back, what they don't tell you is
No.
that if you go a little outside of your brow, then it dyes all of your peach fuzz too.
Yeah.
So then you've got your brow, but then this much, your whole forehead is also brown, subtle shades.
But I mean, that was that one I learned from. The tanning, I haven't learned from.
Does anyone in the audience have a self-tanner that they would 100% lay in the middle of the tracks for? They love it that much. Eva Alt.
I love self-tanner. I have two. One is Vita Liberata.
That's what I use.
By an Irish woman, right?
Yes,
I'm pale too,
that's
so
what I
think
use.
It's the right shade for a pale gal. And then the Tan Luxe drops, and just add them to your moisturizer.
Your priming moisturizer, that's what I do.
I like the Clarins one. I like the Clarins one. But Vita Liberata is absolutely what I use. And I don't
Full body?
Full body. But the product is good. It's just, I don't know. I think it definitely the phenomenal mousse with a mitt all the way. But what I'm wearing today, they have a product called Body Blur, which I had to put on my ankles because I am literally the stripiest situation
Are you like drinking
ever.
while you're tanning? Like, or is there like wine involved? Like, what's going on?
No, I don't know. I think it's a pH of my skin sometimes that, you know.
So you are like applying it correctly.
Yeah,
it just
the way it comes off is a bit
Got it.
disastrous. But thank God there's Body Blur, which is an amazing product for emergencies.
for specifically to help tanning self-tanning
because
emergencies.
it's almost like I would say it's more like, you know, those old-fashioned products which were like fake tights in a product, so you put them on your legs instead of putting tights on. So it has a bit of coverage, and it covers when you have little veins.
Interesting. Okay. So let's see. What's your relationship with all things wellness? How do you feel about like yoga? Do you take supplements? Tell us about that.
I really never drink coffee because it's bad for your skin. No, I'm joking. You know what? It's a love-hate relationship. I would love to be. Oh, sorry. I would love to be that girl who says like, I get up every morning and I go to the gym and I have my green juice and I'm just really lazy, and I go in phases as well. Like I'm someone who's like, I'll have my moments, you know. But what I do take supplements, and I always have, and I do think supplements make a huge difference for me, for sure. Like I will always take my vitamin C, I'll take my omegas, I'll take my zinc, magnesium, because I think especially when you're stressed and you travel a lot, magnesium's really important. The one thing I do, like exercise. Look, I always say if I was as dedicated to exercise as I am to my skincare routine, I would literally be a Victoria's Secret supermodel. Like, honestly, because the way I look after my skin, I wish I had that dedication, you know, to
Great discipline, right?
yeah, but I don't know. I just would rather do something else than work out. I know that's not really cool, but I mean, what I've done now, because I live close to Hyde Park here, I do get up at 6 and I go for a walk. Like I go for like
That's early. 6?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
early.
Yeah, but I go up. But that's the only time I find in my day that I feel like, again, it's almost like a walking meditation. So I'll walk for like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. That really makes me feel. You know, it kind of like, yeah, it is a walking meditation. It makes me feel relaxed. I can clear my head. I'm not looking at emails. And I feel like, I know it's not running, but it's something. I'm moving. You know, there was a time, like, I was obsessed with Bikram yoga. There was a time. I have to say, I loved it. And I looked great, in my opinion. But it fucked up my, oh, sorry, am I okay to swear? It messed up my hair so bad.
How?
Because you literally come out of Bikram yoga like you've been swimming, like you are gross. And then I was like, ugh, everything was just a bit like, ugh. And then your face is bright red like a beetroot, and you need to get that down. But it was amazing. Physically, I found it amazing. I haven't found something. Oh, I'm talking way too much about my lack of exercise potential. But my friend Jo, who's at the back here, she does these videos. What is it? Jillian Michaels DVDs, right? So she made me buy...
Everyone stare at the lady with the poodle.
She made me buy... Not she made me. I said, what do you do? Because she's in perfect physical... She's a physical specimen. And so I
Everybody look.
No,
right in the back.
I bought these Jillian Michael DVDs on Amazon. I was like, yeah. It's like half an hour. Come on, girl, you can do it. And then they say to you, watch it once before you start doing it, just so that, you know. So I watched it on my sofa with my cup of coffee. I swear to God, I haven't done it once. Because I was like,
you watched it and you never
looks
did
like
it?
too much effort for me. I'll go for the walk. But, you know, I want to be better.
You do what you can.
I want to be
Nobody's
better.
perfect. Like,
No, I'm definitely beyond
your
perfect.
So okay, let's go to your skin skin
Yeah,
routine.
let's talk about something I'm happy
let's
to talk
about skin.
Yes.
So tell us. So I have two. So you can tell us the whole thing, or I know it's always changing, so it'd be very hard. But so I'm most curious. What are the things that you would never skip? Like, what are your, like, say that you have, you know, only 60 seconds and it's morning and you're late, or it's late at night and you're tired. What will you never skip? And then also, what are your desert island skincare products?
Okay, this I love. This I love. But yeah, definitely it changes because of what we all have to try in our jobs. But I am actually super consistent, and I don't have a 50-step routine because, frankly, who the fuck has time for that? Like, I don't. So I would never, ever in my life skip cleansing. And I think I can count on my hands the amount of times that I have. Like even when I'm really like I had a night out and I had a bit too much to drink, I swear I will. I mean, there's some stories where I don't even remember I cleansed, but like my husband at the time says to me, like, you literally sat down and you were talking me through the entire routine. And it was like, you always have to remember. And he said, and I just did the whole routine, I don't remember. But anyway, so I will always double cleanse. So in the evening, I'll start with the evening weirdly, then rather with the morning. I'll use a micellar. I'm a huge fan of micellar. So I'll use a micellar to remove my makeup more than an oil. I prefer that. And then I know this is not, but I do use the Milky Jelly Cleanser by Glossier. It's the best cleanser in the world. I love that cleanser because it conditions the skin. And I don't like a tight feeling. And I don't care, when people, whether you have oily skin, you have breakouts or whatever, you never want to have a tight feeling on your skin. For me, my whole philosophy is always about the skin barrier and keeping that intact. And I think sometimes when people have tendency to open pores, more oiliness, more breakouts, they think, you know what, I really need to go for it. And I really need to, it needs to feel like something's happening. It needs to itch. I'm totally against that idea. So I think, you always want to use a gentle cleanser, not too foaming, because I think that kind of strips moisture. So those are the non-negotiables. And then I'm a huge hyaluronic acid fan. But I do have dehydrated skin, and I travel a lot, so I need that plumping. And also, I'm not 15, so I definitely need that plumping. And I love a brand called Tioxan, which is it's a Swiss brand. So I love that. They have a hyaluronic acid. And I'm an eye cream girl. I know that's quite, some people like eye cream. How are you? Do you use eye cream?
I've heard such mixed things about whether or not to use eye cream, period. Yeah. There's this very fancy French facial guy that I just met because I heard he's Corinne Roitfeld's facialist, and Sarah from Colette told me to go see him, and I went and saw him, and he was like, quelle horreur, no, you cannot use eye cream. And I was like, why? There's so many eye creams on the market. Surely this is a thing. And he told me, and again, I am not saying this is true. I have no idea. I'm just telling you what I heard. He said that it gives you more wrinkles under your eyes because it suffocates your skin at night. You put it on at night and it makes you puffier in the morning. Or he was really anti-eye cream.
The thing is I think
I've been terrified ever since. I'm so confused. I don't know what.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting because that's the thing. There are so many opinions out there, aren't they? I think it's very hard to suffocate skin because skin doesn't have lungs, right? So it doesn't breathe to begin with, and that's one of those things I always think is so funny. But also, the pores around your eyes are super, super, super small. So, okay. But I would never put, what I do agree with him on, I would never put something heavy around my eyes. Because that's where
that's usually eye cream,
right? Exactly. And that migrates into my eyes. And then I wake up like the puffiest person on earth. So I use something really light, like Environ have a really light gel. I also like a brand called Neod. They have, it's all, the more fluid it is. So I do agree. I would never use something super heavy around my eyes. It has to be more like a gel or a fluid. And then what else? But then, having said that with wrinkles, I don't have Botox in my face and I don't have wrinkles around my eyes and I've always used something around my eyes. So I would argue maybe, maybe they do work. And then sunscreen. That's the boring beauty editor answer, isn't it? But at the end of the day, it protects from so many things, not just, it's not just the sun, but also I feel it's just like the last, the shield on your skin that just kind of is like the ultimate barrier against the environment as well and things like that. So I would say that that's kind of pretty much it. But of course there's things in there I do add. I love masks and I love all that. And I do, every Sunday I do my masks and I'm obsessed with sheet masks. I always have been, but I think it's more the convenience of them. For sure, because I don't like to be too messy and I like things to be quite fast. Do we need to talk about acids?
Yes, I was just about to say, so before you guys came in, we were having this really, oh God, it's too early, not active, whatever. We were talking very excitedly about acids. So tell us about your views on acid.
It's something that also leads to a lot of happy conversations in the office, the whole acid situation. I think for me, I feel it's taken on such popularity now with social media.
It's like we're talking about something really serious.
No, well, it is.
I mean,
it is.
let's talk
'cause
about
it's your
acids.
skin. Okay. No, but it has taken on a huge popularity through social media, and I think for me, acids. Because some people are like, "Oh, Alex, you're anti-acids." I'm not anti-acids at all. I use them myself, but the problem I have is with just saying like there's not one blanket. Oh, well, everyone must use an acid and everyone must use an acid every day. And I think sometimes when I do look through my feed and I look at what, I sometimes see on Instagram, I do see like a thing, it's the magic product that will save your skin. Well, it's a great, first of all, which type, what mix and all of that. But for me, it's about how you use it. And I think I was saying to you, it's like, having one glass of red wine a day is fine, but if you're going to drink 5 bottles, that's a bit of an issue. So that's how I see acids as well.
Well, it's more of a use case thing, right?
Yeah, and
so
it
it's
concerns me a little bit.
So if you have, problem skin, breakouts, you might use it twice a day.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who's not struggling with that, your skin's very sensitive, maybe it's best to use it every 4 days. So
that's what I'll do. Like I'll use it like once or twice a week.
What do you use?
I use different ones, but I like the Dr. Gross alpha beta pads because they're a blend and they seem, they're quite gentle on my skin. But I do feel like it's just one of those things, again, talking about the skin barrier, I feel you don't want to ever irritate your skin. As soon as you see any redness, that doesn't mean the acid's working. That means that your skin's compromised. And that's all. I'm just more about being quite responsible with how you use it. Because once your skin barrier is compromised, you're in for a
What does that
lot
mean?
of trouble. So basically, this is the thing. The top layer of your skin, really, it's there. It's almost like it regulates, like the moisture content of your skin. And also, it literally is a barrier to everything going on. We're in the center of London. I work just around the corner. It's one of the most polluted areas in the world, actually. So if you compromise that skin barrier, which is basically a question of pH level of your skin, so much crap can go into your skin, and then you end up having so people who get really red skin, they think, oh, it's rosacea or, those kind of things. And then that's because your skin barrier is compromised. So it's just about keeping that acid mantle, because we have an acid mantle on the skin. Sorry, am I getting too complicated? But, so it's all about keeping that pH level at the right level. And I'm always about balance. I'm always about keeping everything calm. That's why, a lot of times people who have really strong acne and they blast the skin. No, actually, sometimes you just need to calm it down, and I think
do less.
That's the thing. It's like using products that are actually gentle. Gentle products, will work, because the skin itself has such a power of regeneration. And a lot of times, a lot of the products, and that's why I like Glossier as well, it's just about helping your skin be the best it can be. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing in Glossier that I would think, ooh, that's aggressive, but it's just at the right effective levels. That's why I'm looking forward to the secret product coming out at some point, which I understand will be definitely something that will help the skin be its best rather than completely like blast it and rip it off.
Throw away your skin and get new skin.
But you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
sometimes I think there is that promise of this product is the magic. If I spoke to each one of you individually, I would give everyone probably something different and in a different ratio. Or the same product, but use it differently.
So you just said that you don't get Botox. So what?
I have tried it though. I'm gonna say the truth.
And what do you think?
Oh my god, I hated it. Like literally, because I'm very expressive, as you might have noticed. I swear, I was like this. Hello, how are you? Yeah, I'm so happy to see you. Like it was just awful. Like maybe I had to, but because I do try things. I do try stuff, and I literally was like I couldn't move my face, and I hated it. I hated it because I love being expressed. It's me. It's like I'm that person who gets excited, and like I got excited and I was so excited like this, it was just, no, I absolutely.
You felt trapped in your own face.
I felt
in your
trapped.
own
That's
skin?
the right way of putting it. I felt trapped in my own face. Maybe I had too much done, but I really didn't like it. And you know what? A wrinkle or two, that doesn't bother me.
sexy.
Yeah, and it means like, I think if you see like a plastic face, there's this show here, which I'm sure you've never seen, called Love Island, which I'm sure a lot of people, right, guys? So I was like, it's a show. It's not gonna transpire. It's this show where there's the people you know, it's like a reality TV show. It's very popular. And I was like, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching that. And then I watched it. All the girls on there are like literally like that and like this. And they're all pretty, but they're all kind of robotic. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, can I just see one smile line? And can I just, when they're smiling, can I just see someone? Yeah, sorry, I got a bit intense there. But I just feel like we need to, I have no problem with someone wanting to do fillers in their lips, which is very popular now, especially with young girls. I have no problem if people want to do that. I have no problem with people doing Botox. But, you know, remember, like, nothing's more beautiful than the natural expression of your face. Nothing. And when you are, like, it's one thing to look great in a picture, but I want to have an emotion. You know, I want to meet people and be, like, I don't want people to look at my face and go, yeah, she looks perfect, but, like, you know, I don't know, like, her lips, like, literally moved, but they didn't, you know? It's like, so, but that's, you know, and I think, you know, I just think self-confidence doesn't come from a needle, in my opinion.
I like that. So I read somewhere that if you weren't a beauty editor, you develop products.
Yes. I did my lipstick.
Oh,
do you remember?
Yes,
yeah.
It was so beautiful with MAC.
Thank you.
Is that going to come back and be a permanent thing?
I don't know. If a lot of people ask for it, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, very pretty. That just came out. So what would that look like for you? If you had to make something that wasn't currently on the market, what would it be?
Oh, Emily. I definitely... I don't think I can say too much. I think... the thing is, there's a lot of great stuff out there. So I think often, you know, when you develop a brand, there's different reasons. Either because there's a need or something that you feel isn't there, or because there's, you know, a new way you want to present, you know, products and options to people. I think my thing would probably be makeup, because even though I'm massively into skincare, I think I would do something like, you know how I love my bronzing, and I just still don't feel there's like a range that gives you healthy, glowy skin. Like if you're really pale and you want to be a bit glowier, that doesn't have to be a bronzer. It can be something else. And I don't think that it's still got to do with glow, but it's a bit like that kind of that thing.
So it could be like, instead of a bronzer that's a powder, maybe there's a cream, maybe there are drops. Like, what are the different textures that could give you glow?
I mean, I think, you know, it's not like a product that hasn't been there, but I do think it's the tones, the shades, to me, aren't quite right. And I think it's about creating something for when you just want to have that fresh, you know, that fresh weekend look. Or that thing, you know how like on your wedding day, right? Every bride always looks so beautiful and glowy. How can I bottle that every day you look that gorgeous? Like that, you know, obviously it's got to do with the happiness and the hormones, hopefully, but there's a bit of stress in there too. But, you know, it's that thing of like, you look so beautiful. Every bride just always looks so boom, you know? And how can we get that every day? Something like that.
Call it Boom Boom Bride.
Yeah, there you go. Bride.
That's the name.
Something like that.
So is there a beauty trend or product you want to see go away besides frozen Love Island face?
I do want to see the massively, because I love contouring. I love contour, so I'm not anti that. But I think heavy foundation I don't love, because I don't think it makes anyone look better. And the thing is, I mean, we talk about skin a lot, and we get it. You know, like when you're not happy with your skin, it can be really much more, you know, it's not just a superficial thing. It can really be quite debilitating, like in your confidence and how you behave at work and in your relationships. But trust me, no one looks better with a heavy layer of foundation on. And I would like, that's not my favorite thing. I think also like, yeah, I think I see there's so much, oh my God, and those like spider fake lashes I don't love. But again, you know, it looks great in a picture. It's just in real life, maybe, you know, tone it down. I just like that real, like I look at you and I can see your skin. You know what I mean? Like I can see there's a glow. I love that. Like you've got makeup on, but you still look like, you know, you don't look like I'm going to touch you and everything's going to like, you know. And it's your real skin
You're going to try and
tone.
touch me, and I'm going to be like, don't touch me. You'll ruin everything.
Well, same here.
It's all an
but-
illusion.
Yeah.
So speaking of kind of the full foundation phase, it's interesting. I was talking to a makeup artist the other day. I forget, I don't know who I was talking to, but they told me even with Kim Kardashian's whole new range that just came out, in a lot of those, I haven't watched the videos, maybe you guys have, but apparently like her whole thing now is that she will still do the contouring and still do the eyes and the brows and the lashes, but she's not doing this heavy foundation. So she's really not going in with the first layer of foundation. She's just really glowy skin, like all about this skin, and then she'll go in with like more like definition.
Yeah, maybe until she launches a foundation. Yeah.
Is there foundation in the range? No,
I
probably
don't know.
not.
I'm just saying. No, but she does have great skin, and I think, I mean, you know, she is definitely someone who does different, you know, rides. She's very clever in the way she rides trends and things. You know, like she does evolve. You know, her look, and I think especially also like when you look at, I mean, again, there's no judgment here, but you know, look at Kylie with a full face of makeup. You know, that's her look. Whereas Kim being a bit more mature, it just looks better without that much makeup on as well. You know, I think, yeah, I mean, I think she looks so good right now. Actually, to be honest with you, I have to say,
I like the hair.
She
I
looks
like
good. She looks
good.
good.
Girl looks good.
Yeah, she does.
You look good, Kim. She watching.
She really
this?
needs us
On
to
Into the Loft?
validate her look.
All right, great. So I think, one last question, and then I'm going to open it to questions. So start getting your questions ready. Who are your beauty icons, or who is your biggest beauty icon? And I'm just out of curiosity, like, who are the girls in London here that you like look up to? Like, who are like the real British beauty icons, or is it just who I think it is? Is it like the usual suspects?
So my beauty icon is. My friends are laughing because they know I love Jennifer Lopez. I love J-Lo. I just love her, and I think that now you understand everything that's going on. Now you get it. The whole like the tan, the hair. I love her, and I'm getting like I just love her. But also I admire, you know, not apart from like I admire. She's 47 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, she's got great genetics. Yeah, yes, she works out. Yeah, but still, you know what I mean? Like I just love, and I love the fact that she's perma-tanned from head to toe. I love the stories about how she's actually not tan in real life. She's actually pale, and that's all makeup. She doesn't self-tan, because you know I grill the makeup artist like a crazy person. As soon as I find out they do J-Lo, I'm like, yeah, let's forget everyone else. So what about J-Lo? So it's all like a tan. It's all like a situation. But I love her. On the other hand, you know, I've always loved Kate Moss. So talking about British icons. And the reason I love her is because she is so herself. She really is just herself. And I saw her recently. She was doing some Calvin Klein work here, and actually up close she looks really good. So I don't know how those paps do those pictures of her looking like, oh, because she looks really good. And I like that she doesn't follow any trends, you know, because I remember the whole big brow trend thing, and I once asked her about that, and she went, oh my God, like I just have small thin brows and that suits my face, and that's it. And I just thought, you're so comfortable in your own skin, and I wish I had that confidence. I mean, of course, she's the biggest supermodel in the world. You're going to say to me like, well, but we know a lot of models. They're not, just because you're beautiful and slim and young and you're on the cover of every magazine doesn't mean you are confident. And I think the thing with Kate, she is super confident. But in terms of British beauty icons, I think Sienna Miller is looking amazing lately. I mean, she's always been beautiful, but there's something about her now that I like people who, even though, like I said, I tan myself, I do like a certain effortlessness. And I think people always talk about French girls having that effortless thing, but I think British girls also can rock that kind of effortless thing. But I do get very, I do look at my friends a lot, I have to say. Like, I look at people out there, but I've always been someone, like, I do look at my friends, and I kind of find them quite inspiring. My friends are here, like Vic, always inspired by what she does. Jess back there, I'm always inspired. And, Sarah, Dom, I look at them, and I kind of pick stuff up from, my friends. weirdly. Like I said, and talking about Joe with her exercise regime, you know, I'm like, what do you, because it is that thing, like we're talking about what Into the Glass is about. I'm always asking, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, what are you doing? And I think that's kind of something that I'm like, okay, you look cool, you know.
That's the new way of
that's
beauty,
the
right?
thing,
Is ask Alex.
Or try to be like J-Lo, ask Alex.
So let's ask Alex. Who has questions? Yes, right here.
Hey, Emily. Hey, Alex. I just had a quick question regarding social media and obviously the increased use that we have in our society today of it. But I'd be interested in getting your views in regards to thought leaders and influencers and platforms such as yourself in employing lenses and filters which work to obviously distort or manipulate the look of people, and particularly with younger users who have grown up with it in their day-to-day. How do you think we move forward to allow our youth to feel comfortable in their own skin and not with a flower garland around their head and a thinner nose and contour?
I don't do the flowered garland.
Me neither.
Sometimes I look at it and I think, oh God, if I looked like that, you know, no. That is such an important question. Thank you. And that's something we actually talk about a lot in the magazine, in conference at the magazine for sure, because there's a certain responsibility there. Look, I'm going to try to keep it short. If I talk about myself, obviously I'm not going to put a picture on Instagram where I look like shit, and I can look like shit as well. So, I'll take about 40, 50 to get the right lighting and so on and so on. The filters began as something really fun more on Snapchat, where you just have, and I mean, anybody who's got a garland on their head, we all know that that's, a crazy filter, you know what I mean? And it's a fun thing, and I'll do the thing on Instagram with the hearts and the stuff like that, but you can tell that that's not real. However, to be more serious, yes, of course, it is a concern when your self-worth comes purely from Instagram. It is a concern when you look at Instagram and you think, oh, and when I see comments sometimes on like, more like on Supermodel, like on Gigi or Bella's page, oh, I wish I looked like you, I would kill to look like, and I'm like, whoa. I think that is concerning, and I think that's where I feel lucky that I didn't grow up with social media. I feel lucky that hey, do I want to be thinner? Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I'm too lazy to do anything about it, whatever. But I still feel like I'm worthy as a person, But I had my times when I started out, when I was younger, as a beauty editor. This is going to be maybe a bit longer than I thought. But I started out as a beauty editor, and I was a lot bigger than I am now. I used to be 3 stone heavier than I am now. And I would go to events, and I promise you, maybe like I was in my 20s, and I would go to beauty events. And they're always like kind of nice events, and everyone dresses up, And I felt, all I could think about is that I felt like I didn't belong there because I wasn't as thin as the other people, you know what I mean? And I just felt, instead of enjoying the moment and what was going on, I just felt so much self-loathing and like I'm not worthy because I'm not as pretty, as thin, or as whatever as everybody else. Sorry, now I'm getting a bit. But and there wasn't social media at that time, right? So. But those feelings, we have them, those feelings were always there. It's just that with social media, things get heightened up. And I think I had to check myself. I had to really like take time out and think to myself, okay, why do you think you're just as deserving to be right here than everybody else is here. The other people weren't making me feel bad. They're like my friends. They're cool. Like, I'm friends with most beauty editors. They're my friends. They weren't making me feel. It was myself that was like comparing myself. And I think with social media, it's just a lot, so I got over that. And now I'm like, whatevs. I'm happy with who I am. Yes, I'm healthier and I'm not as big as I was, but, I'm still not whatever, because I'm super comfortable in my own skin. But I definitely think for younger women, it does concern me that you see social media as reality. And I sometimes look at it and, I can see, I can distance myself from it emotionally. And I definitely think that that's something that I want to look at for later, and maybe I want to do, it's funny you should say that, because it's something I've really been thinking about. And I'm thinking of doing talks like this and stuff like that, for people to understand, that you don't measure, don't get, like I said, don't get your self-worth come from a needle, and don't let it come from, a camera. I mean, there is so much positive. For me, social media has been so positive in so many ways, and I think there are so many ways to make it a really positive platform where it's about empowering. It's about, we just did a Glamour, we just did a casting through my Instagram, and we did a whole shoot when we it was to represent the cross-section of, British young kids, and, there was no crazy retouching going on, and it was much more, I think the more we also show, diverse looks, and when girls don't make themselves look thin, it's that, when you can make yourself look thinner on Instagram, that I think, like, look, if someone wants to take out a pimple or two, I mean, I don't care. But if you start making your body look like it doesn't look, I think that's, it's more, but it concerns me more towards that person's image of themselves. You know what I mean? Like, but show yourself as gorgeous as you are, and with the curves, with the, the little bit of blemish or whatever. I think the more we see those kind of images, the more that's going to be the norm. Do you know what I mean? If everyone starts having lip fillers, the person who doesn't have lip filler will be the weird one out. But if everybody starts just being themselves and showing themselves as they are, that's going to be the norm. Does that make sense? But having said that, I do always put a decent picture of myself on Instagram. Having no, and why should, I mean, we all want to show our best, but there's a difference between showing your best. It's like wearing Spanx, you can wear Spanx. There's nothing wrong with wearing, if that makes you feel more confident, but there's a difference between that and I think the thinning of the body, I have tried that on myself, I swear, like just for a laugh. I was just like, that is just hilarious, because people will see me in real life and will be like, I thought you looked like, Gigi Hadid, and clearly I don't, but maybe that's why I like J-Lo as well, because she's more, real in that way, I suppose. I don't know if that was a good answer.
Oh, great.
Thank
really
you.
important question. I think we have time for one more.
Hi. So we've talked a lot about skincare and makeup, and I was wondering, Alex, whether you had a favorite fragrance or a philosophy around fragrance usage. Like, do you use candles like the beautiful Byredo ones that we have?
Can we just
right
say the
here?
candles in here? I'm going to go and buy
yeah,
that.
they're
The
amazing.
burning rose, I'm like, what is this? Because also, that's what I also love about the brand, that rose smell. I mean, I do love rose smells. Fragrance, oh yeah. So I have a lot of fragrances, but I change seasonally. So it's like in winter, I'll wear Coromandel by Chanel, which I'm obsessed with, because it literally is like, enveloping myself in some kind of beautiful ambery patchouli, but not too 70s Redux type kind of fragrance, which I love. But then I love colognes in the summer. So today I'm wearing Prada orange flower water inspired one. Oh my God, you guys have to try Tom Daxon. I Instagrammed him the other day. Have you tried Tom Daxon? Oh my God, you would love it. They're like no, because it's cool. It's like, obviously, I mean, how cool is she? Like, they're gender neutral, unisex, and I hate the word unisex, but they're meant to be for men and women, and they're so elegant and chic and not cloying. I don't like anything too cloying, like tuberose. I'm like, I just want to like, but I like fresh scents. So yeah, so Tom Daxon Iridium is another obsession of mine. I like Jo Malone, Basil and Neroli. I love that. I just like to smell fresh. What's your favorite fragrance? Come on.
My favorite, I go between two. So it's interesting with fragrance. So I have this like crazy scent memory, and I'll wear one fragrance. Historically, I'll do one for like a year or 2 years, and I'll wear it to death. I'll wear it like night and day. Like I don't do the dress up perfume or even the winter and summer. I'll just wear the same one for 2 years. And the last couple that I've cycled through are Le Labo Musk. Thanks, Morgan. My perfumes. Le Labo Musk 33, I think it's called. It's does anyone know? Am I right? Does anyone know that? Musk 33.
Santal is.
Oh, sorry,
33.
I'm getting them confused.
The Santal is 33.
Okay, so it's the Musk. It's called Musk.
Musk something.
Musk
yeah.
something. And did you know a fun fact about Le Labo? I hope I'm not wrong. This isn't validated, but I heard that the number is the final version that they approve. So like Santal 33 is like the 33rd like sample that they that they worked on. So sometimes it's like 10, right? It's these like weird numbers. You're like, what does this mean? Is it their address? Like, is there some secret thing? Apparently, it's how many iterations they sampled. So, and then there's this other one I love called Dayak. That's one of their city scents. So it's only sold in Tokyo. Well, no, it's not. Now it's sold everywhere. But they developed it. It's the best. You're wearing it right now. Go smell the lady in the frilly white shirt. Get right in there.
That's Jess.
Yes. And we are actually working on a Glossier fragrance.
Oh my God, 2 scoops today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that will be coming out soon.
I mean, on that note.
I'm not wearing it. Otherwise, I'd say everyone come smell me, but don't, because I promise I'm not wearing it. Right now, I just smell like old deodorant. Don't get close. All right, that's it. I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you. Oh my God. These trousers.